Welcome to the last panel of the 2015 Decibel Conference presented by Creative Live. We're really excited that you guys are here, and we have a very special panel for you today. My name is Nate Mars. I'm a producer and music technologist based in New York. We have here a very special panel with a very diverse perspectives on getting your music heard. And we're joined by Accelerator CEO John Wander, Accelerator's Luke Cheadle, artist Function, Sam Valenti of Ghostly International, and Dave Segal of The Stranger. So I'd like to give them a warm welcome and let them take it from here.
Thank you. Is everybody enjoying Decibel so far? Thanks for showing up. It's the last panel. Impressed. There's quite a few people here, and I'm honored to be on moderating this panel with some individuals that have made some huge contributions to the music industry, and they all come from very different mediums. And the topic is how to get your music heard. And so maybe just to kick it off first, if you guys don't mind, maybe just give a quick 30-second background on yourselves, and then we'll just kind of dive into it.
So my name's Luke Cheadle. I'm the US editor at Accelerator. Originally from Australia. I moved over here two years ago and started with Accelerator probably 8 months ago. And yeah, that's it.
Hi, my name is Dave Sumner. My artist name is Function. I'm from New York, but I've been based in Berlin for almost 8 years now. And been releasing music since 1996. And yeah.
I'm Sam Valenti from Michigan, living in New York. Founded a company called Ghostly in '99 and a company called Drip in 2012.
I'm Dave Segal from The Stranger in Seattle here. It's a weekly newspaper. I've been with that paper since 2004. And I got my start in music journalism in 1983 in Detroit. And I've been writing about music 32 years, and somehow I'm still enthusiastic despite my monotone.
Right on, right on. So how to get your music heard, and so there's definitely going to be some different perspectives here, and so let's start with you, Luke, which you're coming from a magazine and a publisher, and tell us what works and what doesn't work, because you get inundated, I'm sure, with probably at least 900 emails a day from artists sending promos.
Yeah, we definitely do. I think the main thing is making it as easy as possible for whoever you're sending it to listen to. And what we've found is just a SoundCloud link, so you can just click, stream. You don't have to, download a zip file and unzip it. Just make it really easy. Include, a write-up about yourself, press release, any links, and just, really simple. Because if I open an email and there's just, 2 pages of text and then, a bunch of different files, it makes it really hard to kind of, go through it all. And so just a SoundCloud link, streaming, and then it is helpful on that link if it's downloadable, because then, a lot of the time we'll download and, hit the artist back and, either try and set up a premiere or a download or a piece on it. But I think the main thing is just making it easy as possible for that person to just click once and they can just listen to the track like that, I think.
So it's just really, really simple. They'll make it work.
Yeah.
How about you, Dave, from an artist perspective, and you've been obviously very successful, so really interested to hear how you did it.
I would just suggest that anyone just starting out would start first and foremost as young as possible, and get your stuff out there, and just find a home. It's probably best to centralize yourself and not work with various different labels. It's probably best to sign to one that you feel best represents you, and then get a body of work out there. And then over time, it's probably best to as you continue, start your own label and then go independent. I mean, that basically, like when I heard about the topic of the discussion, I figured I would just tell my story, and that's pretty much what I did. Damon Wild from Sine Wave was a close friend. We worked together in the early Limelight years, and then once I started producing music, I gave him a demo. I released 3 or 4 12 inches with him and a couple of other things on various artist compilations, and that's basically what gave me my roots. And I've noticed that throughout the years, that's something that couldn't be taken away from me. The fact that I started early and it was through a really respectable label. So my advice to anyone just starting out and shopping music is to just have confidence and shoot for the label that's going to make you look the best possible.
So identify and kind of affiliate with something that really resonates with your sound.
Just realize how important your work is, and that you should shoot for exactly what you're looking for, and not not underestimate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we see that. I mean, I'm amazed that sometimes because people just start sending out their tracks to everybody without even like realizing that their sound wouldn't even resonate with this label. And so I think just kind of really identifying the right targets and kind of, this is kind of, this sound's going to resonate with what I'm producing.
To make the analogy, but it's a job. It's just like a resume, It's like.
Did you, in addition, like, putting out your music, did you do any events along the way or anything else that would kind of help support getting your sound out there?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in New York, I was always organizing events, and that's what, when music and DJing wasn't paying the bills, I was doing a lot of events, not only just to pay the bills, but also to bring that culture and that music to the area, and I booked a lot of things that I felt were not represented by others. So yeah, so I think it's part of the whole package. It's like hosting events, though I would be very careful with it, because I definitely lost sight of myself as an artist after a while, because I got so involved in the local scene that I put all of my energy into that and kind of got lost in that for a little while. So
understand. How about you, Sam? I mean, you guys have put out some incredible music, and also like a lot of diverse music, I'd say. I mean, it's been pretty.
Thank you. Yeah. I agree with both points so far about simplicity and focus. I think the world's changed a lot too since you started making music or I started my label. So I think labels are a option. It's not the only way. Although I do agree context is important. Daniel Wang once said, like, music, the best indie labels are often it's like a cottage industry. It's a small thing, but it's a community, right? It's like you can think of the labels that Dave has created or been part of. Obviously, Daniel's label with Environ with Morgan Geist, the metro area. It's like an aesthetic or a context that creates meaning for people. Even the cover of of Seattle, is it Seattle Weekly, the other thing that should not be named? There's a crew on the cover that I didn't know about, and I was reading about just Tacoma DJs and strength in numbers. So finding people that share your interest and passion, I think is super important for us. Like, I didn't accept demos because I didn't have a label when I started, so it was finding artists in school like Matthew Deere and people, Tab Molnick's, people who are around. And finding friends and building, because it took a couple of years to find your voice. I think now artists, you can make a track and put it on SoundCloud and have a voice, but it's also nice to have a build and have like someone to bounce ideas off of, and that's what I think a label means, maybe more so than just distribution. It's like people, home, context, shared values, like education, like people that you can like really get down with. So I think that's one part. I think on the sort of press side, I mean, I kissed a lot of ass, like. As a label guy trying to get press, like I would bring soup to journalists. I would mail like love letters. Dave probably was a recipient of some of those. I really learned about the people who I wanted to cover our music and complimented writers on the work they did. Like, not like, hey, this is what I want. It's, I really love that piece you did on My Bloody Valentine or on, on Richie Houghton, and this is why I think it's great, and this is why I think what we're doing is interesting, and kind of give them the story. So, yeah, I'm all for shameless, like, flattery if you believe in what you're saying.
How about you, Dave?
What's the question?
How do people get their music heard on your your publication?
Was pretty thorough in his description and his tips. I like Bandcamp a lot. I don't know what everybody out there uses, but Bandcamp to me is whoever created it should get like a Nobel Prize. It's really easy to use. The template and format are just the best. I don't know if it's expensive or not because I'm not an artist, but I'd recommend it, or SoundCloud. But last night or 2 nights ago, a local producer came up to me and just handed me this. I thought it was LSD at first, and I was disappointed to find out it wasn't. It's some
just another demo.
Yeah, I mean it's some kind of device you plug into a computer and your music is carried in it. I don't know the jargon. I'm a Luddite, unfortunately, but that's one way to get your music heard. I appreciate the extra effort. If somebody sends me vinyl, I'm more likely to listen to it than yet another, zip download doohickey. I just think that I may be old-fashioned, but physical formats are welcome in my world. Like I think
definitely cuts the queue these days, for sure.
It's like you put a hell of a lot more effort into this project than most people, and I respect that. Whether the music's good or not, well, that's another whole different matter, but I think it's a more serious commitment to put something on physical format in 2015, and therefore I'm more likely to pay attention to it. I realize it's beyond most people's, budgets, but I still listen to, digital stuff too, but the deluge is so overwhelming that you need to stand out somehow. And I don't know, it's like, there's no, unless they invent like a 96-hour day, there's no way to hear everything. So you need to find a way to stand out, and by any means necessary. It's so much competition,
I mean, I can remember back when I was before digital, I was putting out CDs, and I'd be at the Winter Music Conference, and I'd just get a bunch of cards because everyone's handing I'd come home with a stack of stuff that I'd rarely ever listen to, but I'd just get cards, and I'd come home and I'd wait 2 weeks, and I'd FedEx everybody. So I knew it got right on their desk and arrived and it wasn't like lost in the shuffle, and that worked. It worked. But the physical, I think that's lost in this day and age, and the presentation, it is kind of tangible and nice, right? So is there anything that you guys would recommend to the audience that they should not do? What would be like things you absolutely don't want to do that could hurt you?
I think, like you said before, context and knowing the sound or the, who you're sending it to, and that the track you're sending or whatever you're sending fits with, that label, the magazine, or whoever you're sending it to, basically. Because, it's very easy to tell when someone has just, done a BCC blast to 400 people, right. And you're like, why are you sending this? It has no, it doesn't fit at all with Accelerator or with the label. So just, and I think Dave mentioned that as well, just, really zone in on what you want and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, don't shop to too many labels. And I mean, if it's possible to, well, I would say to not be too aggressive and like not repeatedly try to, if you're not hearing back, then
Yeah, I think that turns people off
yeah.
immediately. What about start? Go ahead, go
I do
ahead.
agree with the physical product. I think that definitely cuts the queue these days and really catches people's attention, because we all get so many promos digitally and everybody's on SoundCloud, that if you get a physical product.
So do you guys have like a team of people that are kind of vetting out and doing kind of listening and doing the A&R?
Yeah, we'll have like a meeting maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks where we'll talk about stuff we're listening to, and most importantly, stuff we already have signed and we're working on, because it's kind of like thinking of a label not as a means to it's a means to an end, but it's not the goal necessarily. Being signed is a aspect of succeeding. Having a success, making good music, building your own audience, playing shows. Ultimately, as an artist, you are responsible for your own career. And I try to remind people of that, is like we only really basically sign artists that we think are already going to be successful on their own merit, right? And are already doing all the things that they can do, and we're just another player on their team. Whether it's getting a booking agent, whether it's getting press, whether it's booking shows, or even just doing stuff, we're not. We don't have like a sort of patriarchal, old school attitude where it's like, okay, I got signed, so now I'm going to be something. Like if the artist doesn't push as hard as they can, we can't do a lot either. So I think the artists that we have had the most success with are the ones who are already creating their own life, their own story, and we're just adding some fuel to the flame, or fanning the flames, and trying to be helpful and like getting roadblocks out of their way.
As far as things not to do, don't try to connect with journalists on LinkedIn. No, there are better ways. Use my work email. Even Facebook is dubious, but I would say like going through LinkedIn is just shows a cluelessness and a desperation that's not really going to help you. Make really interesting music. I know that's easy to say, but stand out. Don't be derivative if you can help it. So yeah, don't be derivative. What else should you not do? I think that's about it, right, for the moment.
I mean, that happens to me a lot. Like somebody will befriend me on Facebook, and next thing you know, boom, there's a link to their track. Not even a hello, just there. And I prefer just the email.
Through the proper channels. I mean, spamming people and overburdening them is counterproductive.
Yeah. What about starting your own label? Did you guys recommend that?
I definitely recommend starting your own label, and it's probably it's the best way to be independent. And if you have the confidence to release your own music and start your own label, it's gonna work out for you. You're gonna have to be more patient, but I think the best advice that was ever given to me is to just not really go with your hat in your hand to anyone and have people come to you. And starting out, you may have to go to people with your hat in your hand, but if you can create a mystique about yourself, or just find a place for yourself, I think that.
Cool. Any questions from the audience at this point? Anybody have any questions for the panelists?
Actually, I'm kind of curious. You mentioned like the physicality of like getting something turned on or deciding to stood out. Have you plugged that thing in your computer yet?
Not yet. Might need to get my IT person to help me out. I've never seen this before. I just don't want it to be full of viruses or something,
Kind of on that topic, so you said accelerator, right? You get 1,000 emails a day, or when somebody hands you something on the street, what does that process look like? do you like set time aside during your day to listen to music, like explicitly just to handle those like incoming requests?
Yeah, I mean, at our office all day long, we're listening to stuff, and we have like a real open floor, and so we're all in the office listening to like everything that's coming through, and we're kind of like thumbs up, thumbs down. You like it? It's kind of a collaborative effort. So
I find that other artists are oftentimes the best ways that we find music that we like or we work with. So I think instead of maybe emailing directly to a label, finding artists on the label that you like or get along with, and because they are a trusted source or connected thing, and I think that's one way that we found a lot of music, I think.
But like knowing Damon Wild, even waiting for music heard.
What's that?
Knowing Damon Wild, even waiting to get music heard.
Yeah, I mean, we happened to be friends, so it was sort of. I was also living in New York City, so it's like a lot of stuff was in front of me, and same with Sam being in Detroit, and you know, the place where you're local is definitely going to help you if you're in New York or Detroit or in a bigger city. But yeah, I mean, you could still get people's attention by, you know, not knowing them personally. So.
the one thing I would say too is just have patience. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we have a backlog of stuff at Accelerator, sometimes 2-3 months, and so. I mean, I do appreciate sometimes, I mean, where it's not like overkill, but people continue to follow up, and our music does resonate with Accelerator, and we may not bite at the first one or the second one, but, you know, they're not like in our face too much, but they consistently send us stuff, and sooner or later, it'll be the right time, and we'll pick that up, and we'll do a stream premiere or do the download of the day and stuff, and so, you know, patience and perseverance without being too annoying, I think, is really key. Because, you know, it's nothing personal, because it's a lot of music to get through. There's so much music out there.
And yeah, like we do go through everything. Like we
listen to everything.
Yeah, like so. I'd say too, like when this is, I can't speak for these guys, but don't be afraid to send probably 2, max 3 follow-up emails. Like, hey, obviously not the same day, but like, a week later, a week after that, hey, just checking if you saw this, because sometimes we'll go over something, listen to it, and then we're on to the next thing, forget about it. But then if you send a follow-up and we're like, oh, wow, yeah, we did really like that. And so just, 2 or 3 follow-ups, but like John said, don't be too pushy and just have patience, because no matter what, it's not going to happen fast. Like, and, I guess, like if you want to have a long, good career in music, then yeah, it's not going to happen fast. You got to work hard, have patience, and just keep going.
And it's important for us. I mean, we literally listen to everything. I mean, we think it's important to give every track a chance. And so there's a lot of tracks, but we get through everything. It takes a while, but it's not bad listening to music all day.
I think the second half of this panel is, or could be, like what next? So say you do get download of the day, or you do get signed, or Dave shouts you out in a column. That in itself is a great milestone, but it's not necessarily, that's just like more, it's just another benchmark. And nobody on this stage can like make your career. We all together, everyone can, and like there's Decibel and all these great curatorial services, labels, publicists, journalists, etc. But I still believe that like the artist's self-belief, community, consistency, time, like those are the things that create success, and then you utilize labels and websites and whatnot to sort of like Mario Kart Warp Zone, or like get some speed on it. But like ultimately the gatekeeper, I think, is not to be too quasi-spiritual, but it's what you're doing and the satisfaction of the work and you sharing it with people that's going to manifest.
Yeah, there's kind of a misconception that once you get signed, it's like, okay, I'm done, I'm made. That's it. They'll take it from here.
No, I think you just have to have a vision of yourself.
Yeah.
Once you have that vision of yourself, everything else will follow suit.
you guys are listening to all this music, do you have a set of criteria? So for you, what would make music unique? Would it be more like the technical side, or who would the artists picking up?
Oh, I mean, I think it's, I mean, for us, I mean, the main thing is it's kind of got to fit within the Accelerator universe, you know, because we're kind of known for some specific types of genre of music. And, but I couldn't pinpoint on what we exactly look for, you know.
It's almost like a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, if we like it, but you know, like we do anywhere from techno to, you know, ambient, so it's all across the board when we do our downloads of the day. And so, you know, we try to keep it open, but I mean, it, you know, again, and that's why we, you know, we all kind of listen to it. It's always playing in our office, and we kind of look at each other like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And
Music always reflects
yeah,
certain moods.
yeah. But I would say it's just if it sounds good, and I think it's got to kind of, you know, like I said, fit within our universe. You know, and that's the other thing. I mean, I think it's really important just to like target the right, you know, Accelerator is very different from Mixmag and others, and so, you know, I'm still surprised at some of the stuff we get sent. I'm like, do you not know who we are? But we still listen to it, you know, and not long, but we try to just keep an open mind and also try to kind of keep it like diverse, you know, not just give away a techno track each day. We try to do experimental, ambient, and just go across the board, and that kind of makes it fun and interesting.
I would say one of the main criterion for me is if the music will alienate 99% of the population, then I'm probably going to want to write about it. Or if it could be used to sell luxury goods. Those are my two main criteria.
I was wondering if you guys could speak about people who are trying to generate hype, buying downloads, plays, how you go about trying to sift through fake hype versus real growth and that sort of thing.
I think it's just the music. Like we don't look at someone or, you know, look at their social following or anything like that. It's like, if the music's good, it's good. Like, we don't go, oh, you know, we'd like to do that, but you've only got 10 followers on SoundCloud. Like, for us, that has nothing to do with it. It's
We'll
just
listen
the
to the
music.
track, and if it's good, and then we'll start figuring out, okay, who are these people? You know, we'll look into it.
But yeah, it's always the music first, I think.
But it is important. I think Sam hit on it. It's like you gotta have that community around you. You always gotta kind of you gotta do your own work, basically. You can't rely on the label. You can't rely, you know, like there's also a misconception like, oh yeah, you know, download of the day on Accelerator, my track's gonna blow up, and that's not necessarily the case. You know, it's also up to you to share that everywhere. You know, and so and even with our podcast, you know, like we encourage all our artists, like, look, it's coming out on Accelerator, but you know, you should be sharing this on your social media pages and, you know, all across your social graph and really get it out there. Because, you know, let's face it, there's so much noise out there, right? I mean, everything's coming at all of us, and there's so much of it, and so, you know, it's important, I think, to kind of be visible in all these different platforms, you know, which takes work and kind of keeping it up.
Anyone else?
As far as running a record label goes, like, how do you prioritize your efforts? Like, what's the best use of your time when you're running a record label?
That's a really good question. I would say it's in different stages. When we started, it was probably trying to build a local community in like Ann Arbor, Detroit, and like make something of that, because obviously that time, that woodshedding, or that period, I think, is really important. It's where you define and you develop like a relationship with the public or fans or friends, and maybe I have a romanticized ideal of that, but part of the Ghostly idea was like, you can you can build a community anywhere with the people around you, and just kind of like weeding out and finding the right folks, designers, artists, musicians. And I believe that any city or any town, there's talent if you can cultivate it. So I think that's part of building a story is more important than just like putting out tracks, because tracks are tracks, right? And it's obviously the most important thing, but it's also not a way to differentiate, to Dave's point. And I think later on it's being, not realistic's the wrong word, it sounds too conservative, but I think it's also understanding what you're going for, or maybe to Dave's point about helping us sell a vision, that not everything isn't for everybody. It is for, you're trying to hit 1% or 0.01% square, between the eyes and tell a really cool story, and that's gonna create an audience. So focus, I guess, is the right word, and also like belief, and just kind of the creative life cycle of any project is going to go like this, and kind of continually sort of build day by day, one piece at a time, and not be discouraged by an immediate lack of pickup. That's kind of been, I guess, what has gotten me through running a label.
Yeah, I think like running a label. Excuse me. You want to create something where people buy into the whole experience. It's not just about the music. It's about the packaging and the artwork, and these days an online presence, whether it's a Tumblr or a website or a Facebook page, something that people can grow attached to. It's not just about the music. It's about the artist, the music, the label, the whole picture. And if people will buy your product and follow it, as long as you have those roots.
I think, Sam, you've done a great job. I mean, you've turned Ghostly into a label. It's almost like a complete art, like cultural site, which is like so much stuff around the music.
We like it. Everyone involved in this room who's a Decibel, we all love this stuff, and we love different aspects of it. And like what Sean, the team has done for Decibel is super important. But I know whenever I read Dave's piece, like I'm always going to prioritize listening to what he says, because he has skin in the game, back to like the 32 years thing. And it's like, you have to really believe people are like totally in it. And when you prove that to your friends or your peers, people will listen. So it's just like consistency, I think, is part of it, and just being like really, really dialed in on the stuff that matters. And not trying to be you don't have to have Twitter if you don't like Twitter. You don't have to have SoundCloud. It's like your choice. But picking the lane that you are really bullish about, and like going further on that lane than anyone else, I think.
Question?
I've heard, several times that when you're reaching out to a label, you should keep things minimal, neat and presentable, along with your music. But is there anything that you guys do look for as far as like bios or anything like that, or is it basically just submit a song and see?
I mean, yeah, and it goes back to what these guys just said. Like, even if you're not on a label, like you're sending out your demos or whatever, like even try to find a friend who can build an artwork and create like a look around it, and really present it so it has the whole sort of package, So like, obviously keep it simple, but you want it to stand out. You want to to open it and go, oh wow, like this is the name of the track, the artwork, the artist name, like it all fits and it all it's a package.
Comment on
Dave likes flash cards, ROM,
In
RAM,
baggies.
any sort of like object.
I would like you to fax your bio to me. I mean, if you have to use email, fine, but fax
More
just...
Gutenbergian, the better.
Yeah, or if you like hand deliver it typed out on a manual typewriter, that means you care.
I wouldn't worry too much about presentation necessarily, like a nice photo. I mean, I think it's just like, does it reflect the music that's inside? I never have been like, oh wow, there's a glossy picture, so this must be serious. It can be CDR with scribble on it, and it's if the intention is there, it'll get through. Yeah.
Thanks.
Question?
Do you guys have any advice on cultivating a community, like just getting people together? I mean, community is so key for all
Start your own party, I would say. I mean, that's helped me for sure.
You go out a lot and talk to people, which is frightening, but you just got to do it. People who's
go out and party and hang out, and you'll end up finding, like-minded people. It just happens. It's the way the universe works, I guess.
I don't know. I've always thought of putting out music as 90% balls. If you have the balls enough to finish something that you have confidence to get it out there, the rest is easy. There are so many records that I can name that are super simple. Anybody could make the stuff, but the fact that Mika Vanyo or like Sako Recordings like put a kick drum with an SH-101 together at the time that he did, and it's super stripped down and simple. The fact that he had the balls to put it out. You listen to a lot of Pansonic or Sako, and other music that's out there that sounds super simple, but they had the balls to finish it and put it out. And I don't know. I think that's the point. That's how you get a record out. You have to have the confidence to feel like it belongs in the world.
I think it's about ovaries, personally. But
It's what?
about ovaries. No, but I get it. He's from New York, guys. Come on. Oh no, it's but intention and fear. That's totally true. Totally true. Yeah, intention and I think it's a vulnerability, right? You're trying to like open yourself up to letting people in, and vice versa. I mean, there's obviously somebody in your community or scene that you do respect, and I think that's like the first, whatever aspect of it is, DJ, producer, designer, coffee shop barista, like it's a trust fall, and you're hoping to find like-minded people. That's all that matters, I think.
Any more questions? I think we're almost out of time. One more back here.
I was going to ask, what's the process that a label uses to kind of balance the moment of electronic music being a stimulus for catalyst of global and cultural change versus electronic music just being a decompression for the working class?
I think that's totally Dave's. Dave has a Marxist background, I think, so he can talk about the will to power.
Sam, nobody's more qualified than you are to answer this.
Okay. That's a really, really good question, I think. It's kind of like what's maybe art entertainment, or art versus entertainment, or we're all kind of in that challenge because electronic music is stimulating, and can be very docile, and it can also become very confrontational and important. I think a lot of music that Dave has been part of has a sense of urgency or challenge that's like really important. I don't know if that's necessarily like the scorecard. Like we don't have it in the office. Like how many, like it's more about the person, I think, that we're working with and like how they see the world. That's something I'm really fascinated by. But I do think we have an obligation as everybody here to try to make work that is for the. It's so hard because the minute you give words to it, it sounds inauthentic. But yeah, you want to push things forward. At the same time, pushing things forward isn't always necessarily making things inscrutable. Sometimes there's a past that needs to be reclaimed. Sometimes past needs to be discarded. So I wish I had a better answer than that. That's a really good question.
You can't all be digital hardcore. Remember that label? With Alec Empire?
Yeah.
Nobody?
Of course.
I mean, they didn't really change many things, but they gave you the illusion that you could. And sometimes that's enough to get by.
I think we're out of time, you guys. I just want to thank the panelists and everybody for participating.